What up? And welcome back to First Strike. We got UFC Vegas 104 back to the baby cage, a 13-fight card after was kind of a shocking 10-fight pay-per-view card out there. I got to bounce back. I'm looking to bounce back after getting a beating here, but I got somebody that doesn't need to bounce back. He had a monster weekend in MMA. Jeff, we got Subhuman Gacho Fanatical Jim here to give you guys our four early looks to cook the books. And we're ready to go. Jeff, how you feeling?
I'm jacked up. I'm questioning the card, but I'm jacked up to see the fights as usual. We got 13 fights out there, so we'll see what happens after weigh-ins. But yeah, there's some interesting spots out there, and looking to put some plays out, looking to gamble.
A lot of big favorites on the card, Subhuman Gacho. I think we're going to see some greasy dogs, some ref screwery at the end. What are you thinking about this card?
Yeah, this is a chalky card. It's a weird one for sure. There are some dogs that catch my eye. There's some ugly dogs though. They're wet, stinky, ugly dogs. But I'll probably get there with at least a couple.
Well, our guy Fanatical Jim's not afraid to go after them big dogs. Jim, you ready to go? You ready to bark?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I mean, it's crazy. The lines are kind of getting out of control. I mean, if we did this show a week ago, we may have some good spots in terms of favorites. So, man, like it's the books are almost forcing you to take dogs in certain situations, and it kind of reminds me of the regional scene a bit. So, looking forward to breaking some of these fights down, and really looking forward to Friday and seeing what the some of these guys look like on the scale.
Weigh-ins will always determine exactly how many fights we get. But again, it looks like a pretty full card right now. It should be a ton of fun. It's going to be an early start. We're going to pop off around 3:30 p.m. Eastern for the live stream where we'll break down our four prelim bets out there, things that are going on that we think you guys should be looking at. We've got the UFC playbook that we will update throughout the week and leverage again when it comes to the live stream on Saturday. But tonight is all about trying to give you guys them early looks, beat this line movement. And Jeff's going to kick us off with a little Acosta Spann here. Right off the gate, Jeff, let's talk about how we're getting paid. Looking forward to hearing the breakdown.
Yeah, this is should be an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it. It looks interesting on paper. Both fighters are 33 years old. Spann, he's got a few-inch reach advantage. He's coming up to the heavyweight class here in this fight, which is going to make things a little bit interesting. Both guys, like I said, same age. Spann's got quite a bit more experience in the ring with a 22-10 record. Spann, he's a heavy striker. He's a great grappler. He comes in off a round one submission win against OSP, which surprised me with OSP in that one. I don't know what he was doing out there. I think he closed that one out inside of 2 minutes in the first round. But either way, Spann got the win. That was also Spann's first win in the last 3 years. So he's been on a kind of a bad run. He has been on a bad run. It hasn't been kind of, but he is a faster paced fighter, liking to throw bombs until his opponent makes mistakes. Then ultimately trying to get a submission, trying to grab the neck, trying to get a submission any way he can. He's got 13 submission wins in his career, and most of those were coming in the first round. So he likes to get it done quick. As I mentioned, he's only won one fight in 3 years, so he's also came up in the weight class. I'm interested to Jim's point, to see how these guys look on the scale. A body size at 6'5", moving up 20, 25 pounds. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. He's certainly not going to look like the smaller guy in the ring. He might, in fact, actually look like the bigger guy in the ring. You got Acosta, 33 years old as well. He's a boxer. He can wrestle if needed. He tends to be one of the faster fighters in the heavyweight division. He's pretty swift on his feet for such a big boy. 12-1 as a pro. He's only lost coming by decision back in 2023. Being a boxer, he likes to work the jab, and he likes to work at his own pace. He's not an extremely high volume thrower, but he does have great fight IQ, and he'll bob and weave and do what he needs to do to get those jabs through. And he's proven to have great cardio. All but one of his last 6 fights ended up going to decision. So he's proven that he can stand in there with the big boys. He also shows that he can take a beating. He's gotten his legs kicked out numerous times. He's taken some shots in the head, some head kicks. He's got some heart. He's got the heart of a champion. He doesn't like to give up. And that, I think, is what makes this fight exciting. We've got two big boys with different styles. Spann should want to keep the high pace going here, but I think he's going to run into quite a few jabs with the methodical striking of Acosta. I see Spann looking to throw some power shots early and trying to get him out early in the first round, as I had mentioned. But I don't think Acosta's got some decent wrestling, some pretty good wrestling, I would say. I don't see Spann getting a submission here. I think the slower pace of Acosta is going to frustrate Spann, and maybe potentially Spann's going to overwork himself and possibly gas out later in the fight. Overall, I see Acosta doing enough to get the job done. Looking for some better odds. As I mentioned, the guy's had 5 fights of his last 6 going to UNAM decision. The fact that he can wrestle, I'm going to roll with Acosta and over 1.5 rounds at plus 147. So let's go Acosta. Let's go 2 in a row. And we got Sub bringing us to the curtain jerker. We got Carli Judice versus Duben. Sub, what are you going to do in this one?
Well, thank you, Jeff. And I do love to be on these curtain jerkers. This is a fight that I was interested in off the jump, but let's just get right into it here. Starting with Duben, boy, oh boy, where to begin here? Her contender series is really the highlight of her career. She comes in against Shannon Clark as a massive underdog, and she closes a even more massive underdog. She's 10-1 or greater on most books. And Shannon Clark, not a great skill set, but a super strong girl for this weight class, and everybody expected, myself included, that Shannon Clark would just beat her up in the clinch and probably eventually finish her. This Duben chick, boy, oh boy. She had 5. Well, she's undefeated coming into this fight, undefeated naturally going into the contender series. But then you look at her level of competition, and it leaves a lot to be desired. In fact, going into the contender series, she had never beaten a woman that had won a fight. Most of the women that she fought had ended up retiring after that one loss. Basically she's fighting like soccer moms that did a couple months of cardio kickboxing and then decided they would, take a bout. I'm very, very low on Duben. I can't really express how low. She might be the worst that we've ever seen in this weight class at this organization. And that's saying a lot because we've seen some pretty low-level women come and go at this weight class. So naturally I want to fade her. Well, this line opens up with Carli Judice, who I'll get more into here in a minute, at about a minus 650. And I'm like, that's not great. I do think that, quite frankly, Judice should probably be close to like minus 1,000 here, but what are you really going to do with a minus 650? And then to my delight, I see the line starting to get a little skinnier and then a little skinnier. And so I was watching like a hawk, trying to, figure out when it was going to bottom out. I didn't quite get the bottom. It got down to a minus 305 on some books, which is just beyond me. I find it crazy. Wasn't able to quite get in there, but I took a max bet on Judice at minus 340. Now, when you look at these two women, I can't really think of a category outside of maybe power where they're even in like the same league. Judice is she's a kickboxer by trade. Her striking is just worlds better than Duben's. She actually has process to her game. She throws kicks. She sets things up. She has a ton of volume. Whereas Duben just has no footwork. She's sloppy. She's overthrowing all the time. She doesn't really have combinations. She just kind of whips in punches. Judice should be able to just completely dominate on the feet here. And Judice, on the other hand, she's 3-2. Now you look at that record, and needless to say, not impressive, particularly. But she is a kickboxer by trade. She's had professional kickboxing fights with legit professionals, and she's really she's performed well in there. She hasn't been in MMA for all that long. She's young yet. She's only 26. Took some amateur fights in 21. Won all 4 of those, and she's been very active since going pro in 2002. Takes a fight in 2002, late 2002, I should say. And she takes another 2 in 2003 before taking her 3rd, which was her Dana White Contender Series debut. Now, this was a loss, but it was to Caricate, and it was a split decision. It could have went her way on the judges' scorecard. Now, Caricate against Duben, I think, is probably close to minus 1,000. So, split decision, not great, but she gets a UFC contract anyway because she made a good showing of herself. Speaking here of Judice, so in her UFC debut, she goes up against Gabby Fernandez. Now, Gabby Fernandez, again, legit, it's a loss, but she takes Gabrielle Fernandez to a split decision, and she could have won that fight. She got a couple takedowns on Gabby Fernandez, and then she was putting it on Gabby Fernandez late. She actually turned Gabby into a wrestler. So those two split decisions go a little bit different, and this spot with Duben's never even getting made. So this line movement to me is just absolutely crazy. You go on Tapology right now, and 82% of the picks, not the bets, but the picks, are for Duben. I think these are people that are just wicket capping real quick, and they're looking at Duben and going, "Oh wow, she's 6-0 undefeated, and this other girl's 3-2. I'll take the undefeated girl." That's just not the way you should cap this fight. I mean, Judice is so much better than this girl. I think Judice will be around for a while. She's young yet. So I think this is Judice really any way she wants, but give me some Judice inside the distance, plus 210. I think that Duben is a KO or bust. And I don't think Lightning is striking twice on this occasion. I think Judice just rinses her in this curtain jerker. So I've talked enough about this one. Fun fight. I'm excited for it, and I got a lot invested. So moving on, we've got speaking of another fun fight, Chidi Bang Bang Njokuani taking on Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, couple of guys in their late 30s, but solid fighters. I'm excited to watch this one. What do you got for the class, Mike?
We're on to this one, boys. The co-main event. I love to get involved in these co-mains for a bunch of reasons that we'll talk about here, but I got to ask you this. What do Jean-Claude Van Damme, Will Ferrell, and Santos have in common? Well, it's pretty simple. Capoeira on television. We're going to see a little bit of that here this weekend. Capoeira versus Muay Thai as Chidi Bang Bang goes out there. And we're talking about the age of these fighters, 38 and a half versus 36 and a quarter. These boys are getting older. They're certainly not getting younger. The prime of their career, probably behind them. But that being said, the big question here is going to be, what is more impactful? Capoeira dancing around like an idiot, defensive style, kicking and punching and everything else, or Muay Thai? And I think the answer we're going to see here comes down to Muay Thai. It's just more impactful. And when you look at the guy that's doing it, it's Chidi. He kicks well. I think you're going to get out there spinning around on this guy, and he's going to put you down. In fact, I think the better striker, the more technical striker, does lie in Chidi. Thing about this thing, and you mentioned Tapology sub in your last breakdown there, boy, the money is pouring in on Zaleski. And what are we seeing? The line is moving the opposite way. In fact, I think this is an opportunity where this line is going to move down and down and down. Look, Santos is going to want to get this thing to the ground, but he's older. He's a grappler, so I know he knows his best opportunity to get this thing done is not to stand out there and get touched up, but I'm afraid that what we're going to see here is you try to bring him to the ground, you're going to open yourself up, and it's going to be a drop and stop. And if that happens, it's Chidi Bang Bang, probably by knockout. I think this is a great opportunity for us to take the price tag advantage here. Big number here. We got a little plus action in our lives here. I'm going to go with a little Chidi. I got a little plus 165 action. I do like that KO. I like this fight inside the distance as well. But official play here for first strike. Going to get back on the winning streak here with Chidi, plus 165. And I'm going to go to our guy, Fanatic Jim, flamethrower for the bookies out there. Going to give it to him. Let's hear what he has to say about this Vallejos battle with Wu Chai. Let's go.
Well, thanks, Mike. Seung Woo Choi, Sting. He's fighting less like the wrestler Sting and more like the musician Sting lately, and he's taking on Kevin Vallejos. I'll make this short and sweet. When you look at Kevin Vallejos, I really love what he did in the Contender Series against Cam Teague. In that fight, I remember taking that over, thinking that Cam Teague, known as the Terminator, 7-0, he's going to be able to brawl and maybe outstrike, in some cases, Kevin Vallejos, but man, Kevin Vallejos just put it on him. He's as clean a technical striker as I've seen at his age in a long time, and it was really impressive. And Kevin Vallejos also went the distance with Gene Silva. Gene Silva, fighting nerd, he Vallejos won the first round of that fight, the first Contender Series, ended up losing the fight. Went to Samurai Fight House, took care of business, first Cam Teague, and now he's making his UFC debut here off a Contender Series win against the aforementioned Seung Choi, who has lost 4 of his last 5 fights. He's been knocked down about 40,000 times in the past 10 fights. I think Bruce Buffer might have knocked him down on the way to the octagon. His chin might be dust. However, he is holding a significant height advantage in this fight and a significant reach advantage in this fight. This will be the tallest fighter, I believe, that Kevin Vallejos has ever faced in any level of competition. And, quite frankly, that kind of scares me a little bit, right? And it kind of, I wonder how Vallejos is going to kind of tackle that. Now, I think what's going to happen in this fight is Vallejos will use his technical striking to go in, go out, throw a ton of leg kicks. He's not going to try to brawl with him, and you're going to have to avoid, obviously, is the distance striking and some of the head strikes. But what Vallejos can do really well is not just throw at the head, right? He's not a round one finisher in the traditional sense, right? He's not like Steve Garcia, who just knocked out Choi in the first round. He's more, he'll damage your legs. He's want to damage your body. He'll throw body shots, throw leg kicks. He's want to damage you over time. I know he's had recent knockouts in the first round, but again, if I'm Kevin Vallejos, and Mike's brought this up, I brought this up multiple times, I want to get as much cage time as I can at this level in the UFC, because I don't want, what's my benefit of knocking out Choi in the first round? I want to be able to strike with a guy that's 6 foot in a UFC cage. And if the knockout opportunity presents itself, so be it. But I want to see, I want to throw strikes. I want to potentially use my grappling here. I mean, Kevin Vallejos has talked about using more grappling. So, that could be a potential opportunity here for him as well. But really try to soak in the minutes, get your cage time, and that way you're comfortable, because at 5'7", Kevin Vallejos is going to be one of the shorter fighters in this weight class. And this is a good opportunity, I feel like, for him to get some of those minutes, like I mentioned. So I'm on the Kevin Vallejos side here. I think he does get the victory. However, I'm going to zig where others are zagging, and I'm going to go with the over. I'm going to go with the over 1.5 rounds. That gets you a plus 100. It's going to be sweaty. I get it. And like I said, Choi gets knocked out when the wind blows. I just think that Vallejos will take more opportunity here to showcase his skills. This isn't the Contender Series anymore, right? He's not looking to headhunt. He's not looking for a quick knockout. I think it'll give him a lot of benefit to go a little bit longer here with Choi. And Choi's had 10 professional UFC fights, so I don't want to make it seem like Choi's a pushover either. He may present some danger here to Vallejos that he's never seen before. So I think it's going to be a good opportunity for Vallejos to get some of that in. The one thing I want to mention here, and I've been tracking this since 2023, there's 2 other fighters on the card that potentially will hit this. Fighters that have a UFC Contender Series victory and open up as in their debut as a -400 or greater are 15-0 since 2023. So this is a 15-0 spot for Kevin Vallejos. It's also a 15-0 spot for Musasa, and I think Dayar will probably get there as well. So there could be 3 opportunities here. That's a parlay I look to do. That's an undefeated spot since 2023, coming off a Contender Series win. So once again, I am on Kevin Vallejos, and I'm on the over 1.5 rounds, and I'll give you a plus 100 on DraftKings. So with that being said, Mike, let's go over the recap and the rest of those fights.
Gentlemen, great job, as always. We had big favorites on this card. We gave you guys 4+ money price tags out there. I know you're going to get paid. We got Fanatical Jim sharing a 15-0 trend and 3 fighters as a parlay option as well. Make sure you hit that like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and certainly take the opportunity to become a member if you haven't done so already. We're viewer supported. We appreciate you guys. Look for the UFC playbook to come out later this week. And of course, we'll see you live on Saturday. We're going to start around 3:30 p.m. to give you guys our fight breakdowns in more detail, recap the fights that we already talked about, and everything else that comes into this UFC Vegas 104. On behalf of Fanatical Jim, Subhuman Gacho, and MMA Jeff, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.